Whoa, David, you have given us one of the biggest questions in the travel industry today. I think digital is the way forward. Digital is one of the major disruptors across all channels within the travel industry. You know, digital is such a wide scope. Everybody is basically transacting digitally these days. Although, you believe it or not, there is some hotels who are taking reservations still with fax. Yeah, it's quite incredible, but the vast majority is going digital these days. And I think it's, you know, you've got to concentrate whether you're looking at things like Airbnb, who are doing everything online, right through to payment ecosystems and the way people are paying and transacting in the world today. So it is definitely a major disruptor. I see a future as what I call the payment ecosystem. If you look at the type of payments that are going into a hotel, they're quite multifaceted, because not only have you got the travel agents paying the hotels, you've got the hotels paying the travel agents commissions or market share overrides or however they're structured, but you also have got the hotels paying their owners, you've got hotels paying suppliers, you've got suppliers coming in paying the hotels, or corporates paying the hotels. So there's a multitude of transactional stuff that's going on within the hotels, and a lot of that can be digitized. This is one area alone where I see a lot of disruption, hence my term payment ecosystem, because if you look at the totality of the payments going in and out, you have got, not only have you got local currency to local currency, you've got local currency to regional currency, then you've got international currencies, and it gets starting to get quite expensive. And naturally the banks have had that area, but when you're seeing the growth of things like TransferWise and companies like this who are really radically changing the way we move money around the world, it's going to become very interesting indeed. Now, I'll put a caveat on that, because a lot of legal and regulatorial, if that's the right way to pronounce it, systems are coming into place because governments are worried about the movement of money around the world and money laundering. So we just have to be a little careful on that and make sure that the systems that people employ to do that are legal and cover the regulatory restrictions or challenges within the country they are sending money to. So that has to be taken into consideration. You've got things like Bitcoin and other sort of currency or non-currency type environments coming through, which I think is going to start to really, again, use your word, disrupt the market. Now, what we're looking at here is, if we can get a payment system or a way of currency of paying it which fluid throughout the travel business, I think that's going to be the massive disruptor, and I see that coming. When you've got things like blockchain technologies which are happening now within the financial business, that's just, I think, is a tip of the iceberg of what's happening. Well, because there's so many transactions. In the travel business, it's one of the largest businesses in the world. It transacts over $3 trillion US globally. So when you have a business that size is doing so many transactions across borders, crypto technology naturally is a fit. I'm not sure it's there yet, but I don't think it's very far off. And I think when it comes through, that is going to be a real interesting development within our space.
And can smaller hotels survive without a digital strategy?
No. As simple as that. They have to embrace a digital strategy. And I think that it will, in many cases, be their savior. It will be a way that they can actually punch above their weight. And I think the ones actually have to be worried about of all of this is sometimes the bigger franchises, because in many cases, one of their USPs were, you were part of a franchise, you were part of a payment system, you were a part of a ecosystem, if you like, which is the in word at the moment, for that. And that was one of the benefits of the franchise. This is the disruptor. This is where you get the growth of really luxurious boutique hotels. We're staying in one here in Bangkok right now, it's lovely. Small hotels are in a position where they can imply trust to the agents or to the meeting planners or suppliers, depending on which channel you're in, because they know they're going to get paid their commission. Because they can join a channel or can join a payment ecosystem that's going to guarantee payment. Half the problem is trust. Half the problem, am I going to get paid? Is my money going to go where it needs to go? And in the currency I want it. That is a disruptor, and that is going to, it's made so much easier these days.
A lot of players in the industry don't understand digital, and they think it's digital, a website, and that's it.
No, it's not. That's why I'm going back to the phrase ecosystem. It is a complete way of doing business. It is not just a website. The website is part of your marketing campaign, as part of your awareness campaign. But let's look what's behind a website. What's behind an effective website? You have got your video. You've got your information. You have got your downloadable information, whether it's a PDF or however you're doing it. You have got your online booking technologies. You've got your payment gateways, which can be paid in various currencies. And then on top of that, you've got your search engine marketing. How are you going to get that out to the customer? How's that customer feeding back and talking to you? How do you transact that particular piece of business? It's all digital. So if you're not in that space, well, when is the last time I've seen a mailbox? I think this is where a lot of new technologies are coming through. I think the established technologies of credit cards and banks and everything is changing. I think it's Barclays Bank are actually saying they're not a bank anymore. They're a digital company, which I think tells you everything about what's actually going on. Because the way we used to do banking has totally changed. I can't remember the last time I actually went into a bank to cash a check. If I do get a check, which is very rare these days, I take a picture of it on my iPhone and upload it to the bank, and they put it into my bank account. So it's totally changed the way we do business. So PayPal, one of the leaders in the transaction firm, will be there, and I can see them coming on. They're adapting to the new reality. Visa and MasterCard, again, big, American Express, are all adapting to this payment reality. I am convinced that we new players coming on the scene to be able to say, okay, and disruptors on things we haven't even thought of today, which actually makes me excited, even after all these years in the business. I don't think it's the end of the day of the TMC at all, but I'm sure that they are concerned. I think, like any other business, they have to adapt to the reality of what's happening today and what's happening tomorrow. And tomorrow, in my view, is only 5 minutes away. And I think what they have to do is to see where their corporate, in particular their corporate customers, are going, what their corporate customers are demanding, the type of reporting, reconciliation, and to a degree consulting services they can give to help their corporate maximize their travel spend. Because in many cases, some corporates actually don't have the facilities or resources to do that. And the TMCs and corporate travel agents play a very, very valuable role in providing that type of service. The TMCs that are going to succeed in the future, in my view, are the ones that adapt most effectively to the needs of today and tomorrow's corporate. And I think a lot of that is to do with reporting, it's to do with reconciliation, it's to do with help on the totality of their buy. And what I mean by that is we're definitely seeing a drive towards a total travel spend reporting. In the past, there was very much a split in the corporate sector between transient and, for say, meetings and events. That is no longer happening. We are seeing something saying, hey, hang on a minute, I'm doing 20,000 room nights on my transient program, but I'm also doing another 25,000 room nights on my meetings and events program. Now, Mr. Tel Company, I want to start talking to you about my 45,000 room nights. Now, that is it's a shift, because in the past that's been very siloed. We're seeing that coming more and more and more, and the TMCs and the providers, I don't care which channel you're in, are going to have to adapt to that. And I think it's also one of the reasons you're seeing some consolidation in some of the markets, especially in the meetings and events space, with the likes of Lanyon, Starsight and Cvent all being bought by some very interesting venture capital companies.
What's the future? How can the hospitality industry and tourism industry get the information out of this mass of information overload that we're faced with?
Great question. And I think that's one of the fantastic things about the future, but it has to be looked at very, very carefully. In my view, there's two types of data that the industry has. Certainly on the let's call it on the payment side. We can go into the internet side in terms of SEO and awareness stuff, but let's just stick to the payment at the moment. There's really two types of data you want to look at. One is the booked data, which is coming through the various systems, be it online, be it direct, be it through CRS, etc. But what is more interesting, and certainly I personally am getting very much involved in, and some of our clients, is the consumed data. And what we mean by consumed is what has actually happened in the hotel. Because you can get a travel agency or a TMC booking, say 100 bookings, but only 10 are consumed for various reasons. Now, is that more important from a large agency to book 100 and consume 10, or a medium-sized agency coming in and booking 20 and consuming 18? That's the type of data that's really, really interesting. And I think that the payment providers, such as CTS systems, which I'm working with, are able to provide this type of data, and it's becoming invaluable. And I'm seeing in the future that this type of data is probably going to be more of a commercial area for companies in that space than actually the old-fashioned commission collection and reconciliation process. It's actually reporting and data which is becoming critical. We're seeing that already with the CTS systems in terms of corporates wanting that data and that reporting data, more so than they actually want collecting of commissions. In fact, just over 50% of all the data that we report with CTS systems is non-commissioned anyway. It is actually the reporting data which is key.